Hello world, hello world, hello world. Welcome. This is VK Advisory International, VK Advisory Ghana. Today we have for you our mini presentation on 5G technologies in Africa and in Ghana, to be precise. So welcome aboard. Okay. Now to begin from the international scene, in 2024 of May, the Czech Republic organized a conference with about 40 countries there to talk about best practices related to securing 5G technology that focus on policy areas, technical areas, as well as the economics and funding of 5G systems. Now, these were called the Prague proposals. And in the view of the US, they see those proposals are good and beneficial, and that the Prague proposals are high level principles that can be integrated into each countries' decision making about what kind of vendors and what kind of system requirements they want to set up for 5G technology. In the US also, on the 15th of May, President Trump signed an executive order on information communications technology supply chain security, which adopts and sets a legal framework in place that will allow the US to adopt many of the principles that are part of the Prague proposals. Now, with the Europeans, they also noted that as of last March, the European Union Commission also set out a security framework for 5G, and it included a principle that said that an evaluation should occur of the ability of a third country to influence the vendor of 5G, the 5G equipment supplier. So they, the European Union Commission, think that was a very important criterion to have in place. Now, the Americans did have some concerns about 5G. And according to them, in fact, Ericsson was Swedish, Nokia was Finnish, Samsung was South Korean, and these three were the major providers outside the Chinese. And of course, there was a much larger ecosystem of 5G that will be empowered and will include US technology. But they were in no way benefiting these large integrators for any competitive purpose because they were not American, and that these three were actually headquartered in other countries around the world. Now, also, the Americans said that the another point they wanted to make was that because the devices will be connected for all the critical uses in all parts of the network, anywhere there was computing going on within a 5G network will become critical. So then there was no portion of the network that one could say was okay to have untrusted vendors. You want to have a trusted vendor in all parts of the 5G network wherever there was computing taking place. That is collection, processing, or storage of data. Now, with regard to diplomacy, the Americans are in their efforts, okay, sharing their views about how they see the importance of 5G technology and the importance of securing it, having trusted vendors, and were agnostic as to which country was concerned. The Americans continued that they realized that each country had information they shared with them, and they were still going to make their own sovereign decisions. And they encouraged that to be done, that each country make their own sovereign decisions on their own, and that they needed also to have their own calculus or their own calculations about the risks that they were willing to accept in those technologies. Now, with regard to China in specifics, the Americans said that the Chinese national intelligence law had the feature of them being able to mandate that vendors like Huawei and ZTE comply with mandates of their intelligence and security services without an independent judicial review. And that was a serious concern for the Americans. They continued, however, that they were not seeking to close the US market from anyone, but they wanted to be clear that they will use the highest standards of security related to their information communications technology (ICT), and that admittedly they will have some effects on the market of what is allowed to be put into very critical systems for the future of their own citizens as Americans, and that they would like to talk to others around the world. Okay, so that national security concerns and economic security concerns will be addressed as well. Every year, the Americans noted again that dozens of changes happen between one vendor and another vendor, and that arguably some price advantage would inure to the benefit of the Chinese because of government subsidization, as well as Chinese Development Bank and Chinese Export Import Bank subsidies or support for Chinese 5G technology manufacturers and service providers. Content credits US State Department 2021. Background music credits Dasibe Jamina of Ghana, YouTube.com. Thank you for your time.